what exactly is the issue with climate change? Let's talk about that.
This coal, oil and gas that we have been burning,
Yes.
we have been pumping carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Into the atmosphere.
In this carbon dioxide is called a greenhouse gas.
Yes.
So what it does, it traps the heat. If all human beings on this planet become sent and decide to do nothing on this planet,
And yet
we
it
are
won't-
langot only, do nothing on this planet,
Uh-huh.
will you be able to correct the climate change? Answer is no.
It won't. Be,
It won't.
Yeah.
It's a reversible process.
Okay.
Right? That's normally everything is irreversible. Once you break this table, you can't, correct it as it is. What will happen if you don't correct it right now? What will happen? Irreversible changes will start.
Yeah.
And more floods, more droughts, more heat waves, more cold waves, more forest fires, more ice melting, more sea level rise, more diseases, more reduction in food production. All this will become more and more. So what can be the rule? And I have created two fundamental, I call them laws of human existence.
Okay.
And I keep guaranteeing that if you don't follow these two fundamental laws, you can call them Solanki's fundamental law of human existence. If you don't follow these two laws, human life will disappear from this planet. And through your podcast, I would like to appeal to Prime Minister Modi, if he wears one day a non-iron clothes, and appeal to the whole country and then slowly to the whole world. So India can become the role model.
Dr. Chetan Solanki, welcome to the podcast. Wonderful to have you on.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm happy as always.
That's great. So first of all, for the audience, please tell us what is it that you do and what's your journey been like reaching where you are today?
Well, I'm a professor at IIT Bombay and right now I'm on unpaid leave. And unpaid leave I have taken to do what is called Energy Swaraj Yatra. So I have decided to travel for 11 years.
11 years?
Yeah, without going home. So I have pledged that I will not go home for 11 years because the problem that I'm trying to address is such a big problem. It's a global problem of climate change. And I come from a small village and then I studied in Indore and then came to IIT Bombay for my master's. Then I was working for a Texas Instruments.
Okay.
Very well recognized company, highly paid job. But somehow I felt that that's not what I want to do.
So you work in the US?
I was working in Bangalore.
In Bangalore, okay.
Yeah. But I felt like, because I come from very rural background.
So in Madhya Pradesh?
In Madhya Pradesh.
Okay.
My father is a farmer and we do farming.
Okay.
And I always wanted to do something for the villagers. And because when I graduated 12th in school, I was the highest educated person in my village, in that community.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to do something. When I started doing this job, I felt that's not what I want to do and that doesn't bring the solutions to the rural community particularly. And that's where the idea came. My guide in IIT Bombay suggested, why don't I do research in solar energy?
Okay.
Because that energy is, everybody needs energy.
Yes.
To do all kind of things.
Anything.
And in the absence of energy, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything.
So that some villagers or some villages were behind in development, and it's only because of lack of energy.
Yes.
So the whole idea was, why don't we work on a solar energy, develop a low cost technology, and then deploy in a rural area so that we can solve the problem. So that is when I left my job and I searched for PhD. I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship in Europe, in Belgium. I went there for doing PhD in solar energy. Low cost thin film technology was my topic. Once I went there, my biggest worry was how to come back, Because once, I'm talking about 1999, around that time when I went for PhD. And everybody who went to Europe and US that time,
they would get absorbed over there.
They would get absorbed.
Yes.
And I was really worried about that fact. So what do I do and how should I come back? So what I've done is I decided kind of a date that on this and this date I should go back.
Okay.
And the date I was thinking, what should I fix? So it can be New Year, it can be my birthday. So I chose to be a birthday.
Okay.
And typically PhD takes 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So 5 years later I fixed that, okay, on 21st May 2004, I will be going back to India.
Okay.
And to remind myself, I started writing this on my diary every day.
Okay.
So, today, 798 days are left, 797 days are left. So I used to count every single day.
Count down every single day.
Every single day.
I see.
To go back to India, because that's so much I wanted to do that. And there is this saying that when you want something deeply, Shah Rukh Khan ka dialogue, jab kisi चीज को शिद्दत से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसको जुटाने में लग जाती है. So when you want really something, so what happened? I finished my PhD in May 2004.
Okay.
And it took some time to wind up all the house and everything. And exactly on 21st May, I landed in India, which is what I decided 5 years in advance.
Okay.
So that is how it was so perfectly. And it just happened. I did not have to put efforts for that. So that's how I came to IIT Bombay. I joined IIT Bombay as a professor, started teaching. First thing I realized that very few people are working in solar energy here. Second thing, even if I wanted to teach something, there were hardly any books around. And all the books were of foreign authors and expensive, and you have to buy in terms of dollars.
Yes.
So then I decided to write and make sure that everybody in India gets enough material to read and study solar energy.
Okay.
So I've written many books in solar, and a lot of people use it. It's used as a textbook now.
So it's a graduate level book?
It's a graduate level book, but also diploma. So many books. So I've written books at different levels.
Okay.
Introductory book for diploma, for engineering student, for scientist, all kind of books. So there are about 7 books that I've written.
I see.
At various levels. Some of them have been translated in various languages also.
Okay.
But then also I was not very happy because by 2019 I made a good name in the country. We established a research center, Solar Energy Research Center here in IIT Bombay.
IIT Bombay?
It's called NCPRE, National Center for Photovoltaic Research and Education.
Okay.
But again, the problem was that whom I am teaching to, where these technologies are going to. And I was wanting to do more for the rural community.
Okay.
One thing that was happening around that time, this kerosene subsidy in India used to be around 25,000 crore, 22,000 crore. And all this kerosene used to go for a lighting, So I thought, why don't we replace kerosene lamp with a solar lamp?
Yes.
What are the problems? And
so lighting as in street lights and stuff?
No, normal.
House lights?
House lights. Yes.
Okay, indoor lighting?
Indoor light.
Okay.
Then there was not enough electricity.
Okay.
Or if it used to be there, it will be there for a few hours, 4, 5, 6 hours. That was a prevalent condition in many parts of the country.
Okay.
So why can't we replace every kerosene lamp, batti wala lamp, small wick lamp, with the solar lamp? And why it is not happening? And that time, people used to give solar lamp as a donation. So Tendulkar will give some 5,000 solar lamp, Amitabh Bachchan will donate here. So that was the model.
Okay.
Our government scheme. Then 3 problems I figured out. I used to go to a lot of villages. 3 problems I figured out, that is that availability of material, repairability, who will repair,
yes,
and affordability, that it is expensive. And how do we solve that problem?
Okay.
And one of the idea that clicked, by that time I also established a school in Madhya Pradesh.
Okay.
Because one of the best way to give back to the society is give the same opportunity for education that I have got.
Yes.
Fortunately. So I established a school called Education Park. So I took my first sabbatical leave from IIT Bombay.
Which year was this?
That was 2012.
2012. Okay.
And I stayed there for 3-4 months.
Okay.
And we figured out the solution, and the best solution I ever thought was localizing the solar energy technology.
Okay.
How local community assemble, repair, and maintain the solar products. That solved all 3 problems. Repairability problem, because they themselves are making, they can repair. Because they are making it locally, so their cost of operation will be low, so it will become cheaper. And it will be available. So that worked very well. That project worked very well. And we could, around that time, sell around 21,000 solar lamps.
Locally made?
Locally made to the local market.
To the local market. So they're making the photovoltaic cells right there?
Not the cells, solar lamp.
Solar lamps?
Yeah.
Okay, solar lamps.
So not making, they were assembling.
Assembling.
So you take various components, you teach them how to connect them together.
Yeah.
And then they go around and sell.
Okay.
Then around that time, a lot of people were talking about solar energy as a pilot project. Solar Imagine in 2012, it was not such a big thing.
It was not at that time.
Everybody, if I used to go to many people and suggest, why don't we do this, why don't we do that? And they will all say, let's try pilot. And I was really irritated by this word pilot.
Pilot.
How many more years you will do the pilot?
Pilot projects.
When people are going to do the real project.
Yeah.
So then what I did is I took this solar lamp project to IIT Bombay.
Okay.
And we thought that why don't we do it at a scale where you don't call it as a pilot project. So we decided to give 1 million solar lamp to 1 million student within 1 year time.
So, just to understand, how does a solar lamp work?
Yeah, good. So solar lamp is, or for that matter, a solar street light.
Solar street
They
lights.
work in the same manner.
Yeah.
That they need 4 components. Number one, you need some way to generate electricity. So
Yes.
solar panel will generate.
A solar panel.
Yeah. Number two, you need this electricity to be used in the night time. So you need to store it.
Store
So
it.
you need battery.
Battery. Okay.
Number three, you need to process the power that is coming, because the panel will generate a different voltage.
Fluctuating.
So you need So then you need some kind of controller. So you need circuit.
A circuit.
And the fourth thing is you need light, LED.
LED.
So when you put these 4 components together, it becomes solar.
Got it.
When you put in a small component, it becomes solar lamp. When you put a big component, it becomes street light.
Okay.
So essentially every solar system has 4 components: generation, consumption, storage and processing.
Okay. So that's a solar lamp.
That's a solar lamp.
So 1,000,000 solar lamps.
1,000,000 solar lamp.
Okay.
And designed for study purpose. Because around that time the government of India has given right to education.
Okay.
And I said, if they don't have light, how do they exercise right to education? So why can't we give them right to light? Why can't every child is guaranteed to have a clean light? And that's what the whole idea.
Okay.
So the lamp was designed to study. Solar lamp can be used for many other purposes. And we did 1,000,000 lamp within 1 year time. We employed local people, we trained them, jobs were created.
So where was this done?
This was done in Madhya Pradesh,
Okay.
Maharashtra, Rajasthan,
Okay. Various locations.
various locations.
Okay.
Because 1,000,000 is a huge number.
That's a very large
huge
number.
number, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was such a powerful project that many people, started earning money. They started getting confidence in technology that it will work. They can repair and maintain, and they would figure out a new way of doing it. Some people became so famous that they said, "Sir, because of this project, everybody knew me, and I won, election of Sarpanch."
Okay.
So some 3 people said, "I have become Sarpanch because of this."
I see.
Then that time around, the new government has come. Honorable Piyush Goyalji was the minister, and
Okay.
I told him, "Why don't we do for the whole country? Can we not do 100 million lamps?"
Okay.
That was a huge project, you can imagine. And he came to IIT Bombay. I presented the idea, and it worked very well. So we got more funding, not 100 million, but we then further did 7.5 million lamp.
Okay.
By that time, electricity supply started, and government started setting up the.
Yes. Right.
So that was also a big project, and that has resulted in 10,000 women we have trained. As I said, each of that women was a story in themselves. When the money comes in hand, what does it do to the confidence level, to the respect in the society and everything. So that gave the idea that solar energy is just not energy. It's a tool to empower people.
Yes.
It's tool to make local economy stronger. It is tool to empower women. It is tool to provide independence to the society and the community. And so we got many awards because it was such a huge scale. 8.5 million people we have reached. So basically 8.5 million households.
So 1 lamp per household.
1 lamp per household.
Okay.
Which means about almost 30 million people, 35 million people we have reached.
Okay.
So we got almost all kind of award during that time, Prime Minister's Award, and we applied one IEEE global competition. So that was $100,000 award. We beaten all the teams in the world.
Okay, you won that.
459 teams were there from all over the world. The competition ran for almost 15 months.
Okay.
And the whole competition was, how do I empower billion lives who do not have electricity access?
I see.
So empowering billion lives was a challenge, and then our solution, we were beaten, national level, Asia level. There were many rounds, and we were the global winner.
You were the global winner.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
With $100,000 as the prize money.
Okay.
80 lakh rupees. That was a big amount.
That's a big amount. Yes.
Around that time, I also thought, why don't we give this training of making a solar lamp to every student? Why don't they make their own lamp?
Student at which level?
Any level, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 12th, any level.
Okay.
And around that time, what happened? The climate change became the hot topic. Because in 2015, there was a Paris Agreement.
Yes.
And 2018, there's a new report came that is, global warming of 1.5 degrees centigrade. So I also became more sensitive. And so I thought, why don't every student makes a solar lamp of his own, and he studies in that lamp, and he becomes a solar ambassador.
Okay.
And the more important, he takes pledge of a non-violence to environment.
Okay.
Because when I use this light,
Yes.
it is coming from most likely coal-based power.
Most likely coal right now.
So when I'm using this light, I'm emitting carbon dioxide.
Yes.
So in a way, I'm causing violence to this environment.
Mm-hmm.
And in so 2019 was 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
So I thought, why don't we train 1 million students
Mm-hmm.
to make their own lamp? And each of the student will study in it and take a pledge of non-violence to environment.
Okay.
They all become ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
And we celebrate 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi.
Okay.
And because Gandhian philosophy of non-violence is a universal. Everybody needs to be non-violent. So I traveled across the world to promote this idea, and then I went to 30 countries.
Okay.
Literally every continent. So every corner of the planet, and we successfully organized 1 million students. This
Worldwide?
training, all over the world.
Okay.
54 countries and 3,500 organizations took part in the one day. It all happened in one day. So they physically made their lamp.
Okay.
So it was a huge event.
Mm.
So now in 2019, we organized this big event. We reached to 8.5 million family. We were the winner of $100,000 prize. I have traveled across the world. I'm professor of solar energy at IIT Bombay. And climate change had become a serious issue.
Yes.
So then I started thinking that, and I also written books, and people started calling me Solar Man of India and all.
Yeah.
So then I thought, what can I do to solve this problem of climate change?
Yeah. First of all, before we go there, what exactly is the issue with climate change? Let's talk about that.
Okay. So climate change is, when, let me explain in a minute, when our body temperature increases, when we get a fever.
Yeah.
Even if it increases by 2 degree Fahrenheit, typical temperature is 97, 98 degree.
Yes.
When it becomes 2 degree, 100 degree.
100.
We call it a fever, right?
Yeah.
And when we get fever, what happens? We can't work properly, we can't sleep properly, we can't eat properly. So we lose balance in a way. Similar to that, because of all the this coal, oil and gas that we have been burning,
Yes.
we have been pumping carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
Into the atmosphere.
In this carbon dioxide is called a greenhouse gas.
Yes.
So what it does, it traps the heat. You will be surprised to know that today, when I'm talking to you, there is a 52% extra carbon dioxide sitting in the atmosphere.
Compared to 100 years ago?
Compared to 1850.
1850.
When we started
the
to
benchmark.
industrialize.
Okay.
That's a benchmark.
Okay.
52% extra means we, the modern humans, we have changed our atmosphere by
Yes.
52%.
Yeah.
Look at the change. Now this 52% extra carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It is trapping
Heat.
52% extra heat
Yes.
in a way.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, the planet is becoming warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Today, as I'm talking to you, the planet is already warmer by 2.2 degree Fahrenheit.
Based on the records that we have.
Based on the records, yeah.
Okay. Compared to 1850.
Compared to 1850 is a baseline, but typical standard is 1880 to 1920.
Okay.
So that is a reference. Whatever the average temperature between 1880 to 1920, that is a reference point. As compared to that,
It's 2.5 degrees warmer.
2.2 degree Fahrenheit, and in degree centigrade, about 1.2 degree
Now,
centigrade.
people will say it's a very small increase, but
Yeah.
what is the impact?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I given previous example. Our body temperature is 98 degree Fahrenheit. Just 2 degree makes a big difference, right?
It does.
Similar to that, the planet temperature is increased by 2 degree Fahrenheit. It is making a big difference. So what is happening? Like we lose a balance, planet has lost the balance. What does it mean? It cannot behave properly. So monsoon is not same anymore.
Okay.
Winter is not same anymore. Summer is not same anymore. And everybody is feeling, right? It doesn't require a scientist to tell anybody or a professor to tell anybody that climate has changed. You go and ask anybody in the street and ask him, have you experienced the climate change? He'll say yes. If you go and ask 10th standard student who has not lived long enough, an old person will definitely tell things will change.
Yeah.
The young child also will tell that things have changed because the change is accelerating. It's happening faster and faster and faster. So this is climate change.
So what is the deleterious impact this has on the environment and on the future of humanity?
Well, I mean, so what it does is it is changing all the pattern that is happening on the planet.
The climate
seasonal
patterns,
climate
the seasons,
Yeah.
all of that, yeah.
But so we can now divide because planet is a very complex
Very
ecosystem.
complex
Very
system.
complex, a huge ecosystem. So,
Yeah.
for example, ice is melting because of higher temperature. Ice is melting, so where the ice water is going, it is going into this ocean.
Into the oceans.
Ocean level is rising. And many coastal areas are in trouble already. Jakarta, Indonesia's capital is called the world's fastest sinking city. The capital is sinking.
So they're measuring the sinking. It's visible.
It's visible.
Okay.
You can see it. I went to Odisha. I went to, somebody said, sir, you should go to this place. I went to there. I was stunned to see a village disappeared.
Okay.
The ocean. There was only, the ruins of a temple right at the coast. And they said, sir, the seashore used to be about 2 kilometers away from this place. So you can see this in Bangladesh. Almost 1 million people they have to go to the higher places because seawater is coming into their fields and farms.
Okay.
So it's happening right now.
It's happening right now. It's measurable.
It's visible. What else is happening? Heat waves.
Heat waves.
And cold waves. Opposite is also happening.
Also.
Cold waves also. So it is an imbalance. It is not only warming. Sometimes one US president said, so much of cold, and how can you say global warming? No, it's an imbalance that is. So sometimes it will be, of course, warm, but sometimes it will become cold also.
So we have extreme weather events also because of this, right?
Because of that only. So extreme floods. Chennai, once in a time it used to happen. Now every year you see the floods in Chennai, floods in Uttarakhand, floods in China, Japan, Europe, Brazil, Africa, floods in Saudi Arabia. Can you believe it? Desert country.
Yeah, right.
And I saw a video. It's very common to see a video when cars are flooding, right? Very common you see. I seen a video 1.5 months back, 2 months back. Camels were flooding in the desert because of the floods. Can you imagine? So the imbalance is of enormous nature.
So right now, this is what we are seeing. If this continues for, let's say, 50 years or 100 years, what could be the scenario?
That's a good question. What will happen? That what most people have to understand.
That's what we have to talk about.
See, everything has a what is called threshold limit.
Okay.
When you take a rubber, you pull it, it will go back, but you pull it beyond a limit, it will break down.
Yeah.
Right? So every ecosystem has that threshold. That once you cross the line, you cannot come back. And I call it as a Lakshman Rekha.
Okay.
You cross the Lakshman Rekha, you can't. In the global warming, there are threshold temperatures.
Okay.
So first threshold is 1.5 degrees centigrade.
All right.
That is the temperature at which the climate change will start to become irreversible. And by 2 degrees, it will be completely reversible.
By 2 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what will happen beyond that? You cannot correct it. Beyond that, if all human beings on this planet become sent and decide to do nothing on this planet,
and yet
we are langot only. Do nothing on this planet, will you be able to correct the climate change? Answer is no.
It won't.
It won't.
Yeah.
It's a irreversible process.
Okay.
Right? That's normally everything is irreversible. Once you break this table, you can't correct it as it is. So now the next question is, how much time is left for 1.5 degrees centigrade? When are we going to touch that? And how much time is left for 2 degrees? I don't know if you can want to try to make any guess. When are you going to touch 1.5 degrees? Do we have 500 years or 200 years?
I think we are almost there.
Or 50 years or 20 years or 10 years? No, 5 years.
We're almost there, yeah.
There's a climate clock that tells how much time is left. 5 years and some 145 odd days as of today.
So what can be done in that time period to, let's say, halt the advance of climate change, the temperature?
Yeah, so I'll come to that. Before that, what will happen if you do this?
Let's go
so number one, what will happen if you don't correct it right now? What will happen? Irreversible changes will start.
Yeah.
And more floods, more droughts, more heat waves, more cold waves, more forest fires, more ice melting, more sea level rise, more diseases, more reduction in food production. All this will become more and more. Water problem is already there. So this will become more and more and more, and eventually we are all going to struggle to live. Forget about all this growth. When you don't have guarantee to get a water or a pure air or a pure food, or when sudden so much fluctuation, diseases will increase like anything. So we are going to all pay for it very dearly. And by the end of this century, that is 76 years from now, the estimates are, scientific estimates are that the global temperature will rise to minimum 2.7 degrees centigrade. Minimum. And this is a best case scenario, by the way.
Best case scenario, okay.
Yeah, 2.7 degree. And the worst case is about 5-6 degrees centigrade.
That is a tremendous change.
Tremendous? the question is, it's not tremendous. The question is whether human life will survive or not.
Exactly.
We are very delicate animals.
Yeah.
Very delicate. Dinosaur couldn't survive the climate change of that time. Dinosaur disappeared because of the climate change. So the question is being raised whether human life will survive. 80 years from now, 100 years from now, 150 years from now. Because 5 degrees centigrade or 4 degrees centigrade, 3 degree average increase, which means sometime it will become 10 degree. Imagine, Mumbai's temperature going from 42 degree to 52 degrees centigrade. Imagine last year, in one of the city in China, what was the temperature measured? 52.3.
My God, how can anyone live in that?
China. So what I'm saying is this is very likely that temperature may shoot to 56 degree, 58 degree. Again, let me quote another example in Antarctica. There is a station, research station.
Yeah.
Very difficult situation there, minus 50 degree.
Yeah.
2 years back, there was a very famous photo came. Those who are interested in climate, they would know it. The scientists living there, they took a photo, bare chested, without any clothes, just to show to the world that temperature at that time was only minus 12.
Minus 12.
38 degrees centigrade above minus 50.
Okay.
Then normally it was minus 50. It went to minus 12 to 38 degrees centigrade above.
Above normal. Okay.
So that's already happening right now. So we are in now or never kind of situation, because once it clicks irreversibility, you don't have much chance to correct it.
Now let me play devil's advocate. And there are people who will say, including some US presidents, that climate change has always been around. We have Milkanovich cycles, we have had ice ages, we've had hot climates. So maybe this is just a normal process, a natural process. Yeah. So is it true, or is there a human component?
So first of all, it is true that climate change has always been there. Change is the only constant on the planet, isn't it? Everything is changing. Your body is changing, climate is changing. That's true. What we have to recognize and realize that there are changes which happen naturally, or very long-term changes. It takes millions of years, not 100 years, 50 years. Look at the change that we are observing in your life. Last 30 years, look at the change. So that long-term change, when ice age comes and then it goes and all that, is a very long cycle.
Geological timescales.
It's very long cycle. What is happening right now is a very, very fast, extremely fast.
Accelerating.
It is so fast that there is absolutely no chance for human life to evolve. Had it been 10,000 years, our eyes might have been looking different. Ears will become different.
We would have adapted to that.
We would have adapted, but there's no time. Just last 30 years, look at the tremendous change that has happened in our own lives. And the problem is, the carbon dioxide, once we are emitting, once it goes there, it has a lag effect.
Lag effect.
So once you emit today, the impact is not today. The impact is 8 to 10 years, maybe 12 years later.
That's when.
So what we are experiencing is our karmas of 10 years old.
Okay.
This karma of today, you will have to face 10 years later.
Correct.
So, and it has another problem. Once you emit carbon dioxide, on an average, it has life of about 300 years.
300 years?
Yeah.
Before it is absorbed?
Before it gets absorbed. Okay. Before it gets What does it mean? You and I, whatever action that we are taking and every human is doing today, whatever energy and material you and I am consuming today, and 85% of the world energy comes from carbon source. 85%.
Okay.
So 85% of your and my activity is resulting in carbon dioxide emission, which will go to the atmosphere, will remain there for 300 years.
300 years.
And our 10 generations are going to suffer what we are doing right now. So that's why it's a problem of a enormous scale. An unfortunate aspect is the whole world is sleeping, literally sleeping. Has no idea what is happening, has no idea how deep soup we are in, and we have no idea what our children are going to suffer.
Got it.
And the glimpses are there everywhere.
Now let's go 2019 ahead, forward. Yeah. So 2019, you left the IIT, went on sabbatical?
2019, I started thinking, what can I do? And then I thought, if I want to do something, it should not be a feel-good factor.
Okay.
So I want to create an impact and solve the problem of climate change. And because it's a global problem, it cannot be done in a simple efforts. It cannot be done by research. It cannot be done by more technology. So what can I do? And the thought that came to my mind, what Gandhiji would have done. Had it been here today, Mahatma Gandhi, what he would have done? He started some yatra. So that is where the first thought of this yatra came, journey. Why don't I travel across and reach out to people to tell them the problem, and that themselves are the problem, and not the industry, and how do we solve the problem.
Got it.
Second thing, I thought, because it's a global problem, so 1 decade is a minimum time that I should spend. And that time I started this in 2019. All this started happening. So I thought from 2020 I'll start my journey.
Okay.
And 2030 is also a deadline for a Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations.
Okay.
There are 17 goals, and the whole world is trying to achieve those goals.
Okay.
And that includes sustainability, climate change, poverty, education. Everything is part of this.
Okay.
So I thought this yatra can be well aligned with that journey. Second thing, I thought it's such a big problem. You can't solve it in part and parcel. Meaning that you can't take break in Holi, Diwali, Saturday, Sunday. So I thought I will do this journey for 11 years non-stop.
Okay.
Without going home. So
Okay.
I have pledged that I will not go home for 11 years. So that I can 365 days in a year think about the problem and how to solve it.
Okay.
And then how I'm going to live for 11 years, where I'm going to sleep every day, where I'm going to eat, because keeping the body, in a good shape for 11 years travel is not going to be easy. So
Yes.
that's what the idea of the bus came. That I designed a bus which has actually a bed inside.
Okay.
There is a washroom inside, there's a kitchen inside, there's a training room inside, there's a library inside, there's an office inside, there's a garden, there's a temple inside.
Okay.
And there are solar panels on the top.
On top. Okay.
Yeah. And that panels generate enough electricity to power kitchen and everything.
Okay.
Except the engine of the bus, everything runs on solar. So that is how the whole idea then got conceptualized, and then I started my yatra in 2020.
Okay.
And then it's going to go there for till 2030.
Okay.
So today, as I'm talking to it, it is 1188th day that
Okay.
I'm already traveling across the country. I've traveled to almost every state except the Northeast. I have given some 950 lectures.
Okay.
Met some 2.5 lakh people. And then there are several tools that we have developed.
Okay.
That people, a common man, an institution, a school, a college, a government, an industry can adopt so that we can solve the problem of climate change.
Okay. What are these tools?
Well, I mean, it's simple that first of all, what I understood after starting this yatra, which I have never understood as a professor of IIT Bombay, and that's why yatras are very important. It forces you to think, and it helps you to look at the broader picture. So what I started looking is that as we know that the cancer cannot be treated by taking paracetamol.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You can't treat cancer by taking paracetamol.
Yeah.
You have to remove the root cause of the cancer
Yes.
by chemotherapy. Similarly, what I realized that the climate change cannot be solved by planting trees. Climate change cannot be solved by plastic-free world, and climate change cannot be solved by electric vehicles or this and that. No, we have to remove the root cause of the problem, and this is well documented by there are IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the world's largest, most credible body, and they have been doing a lot of research. So it's very well documented. So you have to remove the root cause, and what is the root cause of climate change? Carbon emission,
Yeah.
carbon dioxide. So you have to reduce and make it zero. So why should I do that, and how dangerous is that carbon dioxide, and how it is going to affect me, and how I am contributing to the climate change? What is the current status of climate change? What should I do? I have designed a training program called Energy Literacy Training.
Okay.
In fact, so important, see, it's written on my shirt also,
Yes.
that I am energy literate only. It is the illiteracy of energy that has created the problem in the world. That most people, 99% people have no idea all this game of energy. So one of the tool is become energy literate.
Okay.
And I call this energy literacy as a license to use energy.
Okay.
If you want to use energy, become energy literate. Because if you're not energy literate, what will happen? You will misuse energy. You will overuse energy. You will inefficiently use energy. And as a result of that, you are going to create problem for yourself and your future generation. So energy literacy is a very powerful tool to help people to realize what we are doing and how we are doing and how it is impacting ourselves.
Okay.
And it's very simple course. It's only for 3 hours training. It's available online, available in 12 different languages.
Okay.
It is certificate course and it is free for everyone.
Okay.
So it is called, the portal where it is available is Energy Swaraj portal. The web address es-pal.org.
Okay.
And everybody can do. So one of my first idea is that the whole humanity should become energy literate. And once you're energy literate, you will automatically you're not going to contribute in the carbon emission recklessly, that we all are doing right now.
Okay.
Now, once you become energy literate, you understand that there is something wrong and we are using wrong energy. Carbon-based energy, I call it as a wrong energy. Then you have to switch to the right energy.
What is the right energy?
Yeah. Then the question is, what can be the right energy?
Yes.
Well, any energy which is there as long as we want human life to be there.
Yes.
The question is, how long you want human life to be there? Another 50 years or another 100 years, another 1,000 years or 10,000 years? Obviously, we want longer, right?
As long as possible.
As long as possible.
Yes.
So, then only solar energy could be as long. Because coal, oil and gas, you must have been reading, it will get finished sometime. Because the rate of formation of coal is so small.
Yes.
It takes millions of years.
Yes.
And we are just digging and burning it. So, only solar energy can be there as long as humans are there.
So it's free and it's abundant.
It's free, it's abundant.
Yes.
So we need to switch from wrong energy to right energy. But in the right way.
In the right way.
Because we, the modern humans, I keep saying, we are all, expert in what? Solving one problem and creating another problem. We are all learners. And that's why every time when you do something, it creates a problem. Once upon a time, green revolution was such a wonderful idea.
And what problems did it create?
And
it created problems?
It's created, and now. So green revolution, wonderful idea. So how green revolution happened? Because we had alternate seeds, chemicals and fertilizers, and today organic. And everybody feels that we should eat organic. Exactly opposite.
Yeah, exactly opposite.
Once when I was small, we used to write this essay, nuclear energy is boon for the human society because it can generate so much. Today what? Everybody's scared. If some crazy guy push one button, and then the whole world will be in disaster. So we have developed solution that has created a problem. So water quality, for example, can you drink a glass of water from any of the holiest river in India
today
without filtering? You can't.
You can't.
Can you guarantee that the food that you're eating is without chemicals?
No, you can't.
No, can't. Can you guarantee the air that you're breathing is pure?
We know it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So the most basic fundamentals of human life, you can live without computer, you can live without mobile phone, you can live without clothes also. You can't live without breathing.
Air, water, food.
You can't live without drinking.
Yeah.
You can't live without eating. The most fundamentals of human life has been
contaminated,
degraded.
Yes.
What a disaster.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Can we call it as a development?
That's not development. Yeah.
That's why I keep saying the modern humans are the most stupid animal ever existed on this planet. Such a stupidity that we pollute the same water that I am only going to drink. Pollute the same air that I am only going to breathe. So this is a disaster. We can't continue like that. And therefore, what is the right way? Right energy is solar energy. What is the right way? Don't do the manner we are doing things right now. It's very clear that whatever we have done has created more problems. The climate has changed, stress level has increased, depression has increased, water has got polluted, air got polluted, soil has got polluted, global geopolitical stress is there. So there is something terribly wrong in this world. And my simplest question to everybody I ask, that everybody is busy increasing GDP.
Yeah.
And I keep asking, why should I increase GDP? Why should you increase GDP? And they say, sir, GDP, when we increase GDP, prosperity increases. I said, wow, wonderful idea. Last 20 years, India's GDP is not increasing. It is increasing, right?
It is.
What is the rate? 5%, 6%, 8%, 9% also sometimes. Now tell me, if prosperity is increasing, every time when GDP increases by 5%, shouldn't the smile also increase by 5%? That's a whole sign of prosperity, that you're happy, right? Ultimately, why you want to use a big car and big house? Because you want to be happy.
Yeah.
But smiles are not increasing. Rather, depression is increasing, stress is increasing. So there's something wrong because we have not understood the bigger picture of life. And therefore, the right way is to understand the boundary conditions of living on this planet. What is in your house I'm sure you have made a rule. What is the rule? That you are going to cook in the kitchen, you are going to sleep in the bedroom, you are going to take bath in the bathroom. Do you do opposite? You cook in the bedroom and sleep in the kitchen? No. So for a small space, you have created a rule. Tell me, do you know any rule of living on this planet? No. Nobody, has anybody taught us? Nobody has taught us. But there should be a rule of living on this planet, isn't it? Like we made a rule. So what can be the rule? And I have created two fundamental, I call them laws of human existence.
Okay.
And I keep guaranteeing that if you don't follow these two fundamental laws, you can call them Solanki's fundamental law of human existence. If you don't follow these two laws, human life will disappear from this planet.
Okay.
Now it's a big thing, right? But what can be the law is simple. The first law says in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be finite consumption.
Absolutely.
Simple. Right? Science is growing, technology is growing, economy is growing, size of the planet is not growing. Water is not growing. Mineral, nothing is growing.
Yeah.
Only humans think that we should produce more and consume more.
Absolutely.
Not possible.
Not possible, yeah.
Absolutely not possible. So then some student asked me in school, and says, sir, if you're saying it is not possible, how are you growing then? Then I say, only one way, by stealing things. Chori karke. The water table, your father and my father did not put water underground, but we have taken it with the help of technology in a tube well. So have you not stolen water?
From the future generations.
From the future generation.
Yes.
Your father and my father did not plant tree in the forest. But today 33% forest has disappeared. Have you not stolen forest from future generation? Whatever growth that we are seeing is because we are stealing resources which belongs to future generation, not yours and mine. So rule number 1, limit your consumption. Because planet is limited, all resources are limited. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah.
Number 2, in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be distributed production. When everything is finite, you should produce in distributed manner.
Yeah, well, that's a big problem because that's not what happens.
That's not what happens.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem is. What we are doing, we are centralizing everything.
Yes.
So when you centralize, what happens? When centralize, two things happen. The wealth gets generated, but it gets distributed unequally. As a result of that, economic growth is happening, GDP is happening, but inequity is also growing.
Yeah.
When inequity grows, what will happen? Again, the asamanta society mein, the lack of equity, and then it will result in lack of peace and violence. And that is exactly what is happening. Growth of economy, technology, everything, but brotherhood is increasing?
It's not.
No. Love between people is increasing? No. Violence increasing? Definitely yes. So that's a characteristic of what? Centralization. And Gandhiji also told it, he said, not the mass production by masses is required. Production by masses. And it is mass production that if one big factory makes big, huge volume of things, all the waste and carbon emission is generated, who's going to pay for it? Everybody, you and I.
Yeah.
So the problem is shared with everyone. And the wealth is with somebody. So more we decentralize the solution, better it is. So limiting and localizing. These are the two boundary conditions of sustainable life on this planet. Any damn thing that you consume in your life, water, limit first. Means what? Don't take bath in bathtub. And localize means recharge locally. Clothes, limit means what? Don't buy clothes just for the sake of buying. There are so many clothes these days in the cupboard that a lot of pairs keep waiting for the owner for the whole year when my owner is going to wear me. Just because you can buy doesn't mean that nature can supply. Just because you can afford doesn't mean that nature can afford. Nature cannot, because nature is not growing. So limit and localize. Wear locally made clothes. Food, don't waste, limit, and then use local food.
Yeah.
Don't eat potatoes coming from 800 kilometers and cheese from, I don't know, God knows from where.
Thousands of kilometers.
Thousands of kilometers. Doesn't make sense. And the most dangerous thing that we all consume is energy.
Yeah.
If you want to consume energy, first limit, means don't waste, don't overuse, don't misuse and all, and then locally produce it as much as possible. Now, it's not possible every time, but as much as possible locally produce. So limiting and localizing, these are the two boundary conditions of doing any damn thing on this planet.
So how do we get people to adopt this, and how do we get governments to adopt this?
So this is the right way of doing limiting and localizing. That's the right way. Okay.
Yes.
Now, good question. How do I do governments to adopt it and people? So number one thing is, government is not going to adopt it for very clear. Neither industry is going to adopt it. You know why? Because the dharma of a government is to win election and nothing wrong with it. And they will do everything that requires to win election. The dharma of a industry to make profits and nothing wrong with it. Because if they don't make profit, they will not survive. If government don't win election, they will not survive.
Yes.
It is their duty to do that. But your and my duty is to live healthy and happy life, isn't it? So most people understand that the climate change is caused because of industry. And when I say who should correct it, they always say industry should do something and government should do something. But government helps you to produce electricity. But government doesn't consume electricity itself. You and I am consuming. Industry helps you to produce things, but industry doesn't consume cars by themselves. You and I do that. So every user of energy and material is contributing to the climate change. Every user. And who is that user? Everybody. American, African, Indian, young, old, rich, poor, urban, everybody. Even poorest of the poor person is also cooking food on LPG and therefore emitting carbon dioxide. So everybody is part of the problem and everybody has to be part of the solution. And therefore not the government, not the industry. I personally believe that it is individual driven responsibility that everybody has to act properly. And do what? Limit and localize.
Now, let's say we are recording a podcast over here. We need electricity. Now, we're not producing the electricity. It has to come from somewhere.
Correct.
And this is obviously it has a huge carbon footprint.
Correct.
How do we solve this problem?
Well, I mean, so first of all, we are in a zone where we believe that it is my right to do that because I want to reach out to people. But have we been little innovative? Can we do the same thing in the natural light?
I'm sure we can.
Yeah. So if we cannot avoid, wonderful. So now I have created a 3-step approach. I have to limit and localize. But then question is, should I not eat food? In the summer season, should I not use fan? Of course you should use it. And then how do I systematically organize myself? Because energy is everything. And everything, I'm wearing clothes means I'm using energy, isn't it? So my way of doing it, if I solve the problem of energy, I'm solving every problem. Because when I'm brushing my teeth, that is energy, this furniture is energy. How do I go about doing things in my life then? And as a guideline to people. So the guideline is follow this 3-step approach.
Okay.
It's called AMG.
AMG.
Avoid, A means avoid, M means minimize, G means generate.
Avoid, minimize, generate.
AMG. So let's start step number 1, avoid.
Okay.
Avoid, so I spell it like this. Avoid the use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy.
Okay.
The rule number 1 of using solar energy is do not use solar energy.
Okay.
And by the way, energy means material also. So when I'm saying this, I'm saying all materials.
Any consumption.
Any consumption.
Okay.
Avoid use of solar energy also. A lot of people feel that the best solution of climate change is solar energy. Let's produce solar panel. Let's do that. That's also not a solution. You know why? Because, as I said, we have done things in the past and we cry out later, like a green revolution, like a nuclear energy. So I did my PhD in solar. And to make solar panel, it requires enormous amount of silicon.
Silicon.
That you have to mine and purify.
Yeah.
And silicon has a melting temperature of some 1400-1500 degrees centigrade. You have to melt 3 times to make it a crystal.
Okay, 3 times.
3 times.
Okay.
To come to a shape where you can start making solar cell. So that's only silicon wafer. Then you have to make solar cell, another 860 degree temperature.
Okay.
Then you have to make module. For making module, you require glass. You must have seen a solar module. There is a glass on the top. Then there is aluminum frame. So you need to make aluminum. You have to mine aluminum. Then module you have to erect it. You require iron structure. So you have to mine iron and all this process. Then you have to take power out of the module. You need copper cable. So copper. Then you need to process inverter. Then at the end of life, you need to recycle all this element. Again chemical, again energy.
So how long does a solar panel last typically?
Well, it will last for 25 years. It was one of the best technology because you get warranty of 25 years. There's no other product in the world. So it's a beautiful technology.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I want everybody to understand this. Even solar panel making takes so much of steps of mining material, using chemicals, using electricity, then recycling and throwing all the garbage. It will have impact on environment. Less but not zero. As compared to coal electricity, great solution. But will it be absolutely zero emission? No. So which means it has an impact. So if you are going to make use of solar energy blindly, you are going to contribute to the problem. Isn't it clear?
Yeah.
So avoid. You don't use solar energy. And I'm a professor of solar energy and a solar man of India, and I was a brand ambassador of solar energy for government of Madhya Pradesh. And everybody can do that, by the way. At my home, there is no refrigerator.
Okay.
That's avoidable. We used to, 30 years back, there's anyway no refrigerator over there. For centuries, we have been living without refrigerator. There's no geyser. I always take bath with the cold water. Avoidable. Once it takes just 5 minutes of, a little bit, you may feel cold water, but otherwise it's wonderful. There's no air conditioner. Avoidable. I stopped ironing my clothes.
Okay.
Avoidable. And you will be surprised, and every individual can make their own list. What is avoidable? In different contexts, different things will be avoidable. And for example, in if you go to Ladakh, something else is avoidable, which you can't avoid here.
Yeah.
So in a geography specific, people can make their own list. Avoid what is avoidable. In English, we say prevention is always better than cure. Using solar energy is cure. Not using energy is 1,000 times better. And therefore, one of the simplest solution for climate change is what? Do nothing. Avoid doing things.
Okay.
That's the best solution. And a lot of things can be avoided. But you say, okay, how do I live in the night? Then if you cannot avoid, go to the next step, minimize.
Minimize.
How do I minimize? Use energy efficiently. And today, thank God, all appliances that we use in our life are available in very efficient alternatives. For example, LED light.
Yeah.
As compared to CFL, LED takes less than 50% of the power. So you are saving 50% electricity. You are saving 50% carbon dioxide emission.
There you go.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
There are fans called BLDC fan, brushless DC motor fan. As compared to induction motor fan, this BLDC fan takes less than half of the power.
Okay.
So you cut down your carbon emission by half. Refrigerator, avoid if possible. If you cannot avoid, minimize it. How? Don't buy 2 doors and 3 doors and 4 doors refrigerator. People are trying to make room inside refrigerator. Itna bada kharidte hain. But what do? Your most critical needs is what? 2 liters of milk and maybe 2 kgs of vegetable. That's it. That's a critical. For that, you don't need 500 liters. You need 50 liters refrigerator. The moment you make it smaller and efficient, your energy needs will go down by 60-70%. AC should not be used. But if you're using it, minimize it. How? Don't make big bedrooms. Because we want what? Cool our body. But what we are cooling actually? Walls, floors, furniture.
That's what's happening.
Everything else. Wall doesn't ask you to cool it. But because we want to make a big bedroom, now we are creating a big surface area. For a small body of 6 feet by 2 feet, we are going to cool everything. What a battamiz use of energy that we do. That minimizable. Very easily. It doesn't take rocket science, isn't it? Easily available. So avoid how much? By 1/3. 1/3 energy needs can be avoided.
Okay.
Minimize by another 1/3. I'm giving example by 50% saving. I'm saying, okay, forget 50, save 30% because of efficient appliances. So minimize by 1/3. Then how much is remaining? Only 1/3.
1/3.
So generate only 1/3. Then it is okay. Suppose we cut down on our energy needs of recording this podcast. We probably use some natural light. We probably, create another system. And then, of course, we need some energy. But we could have brought it down by making a better plan, because now hopefully you realize that this is going to be there for 300 years. And we are going to all pay for it. So, AMG, avoid. If you cannot avoid, minimize. If you cannot minimize, generate locally.
Generate locally.
And 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. And I keep saying, if you're not going to follow AMG, you will have to say OMG, oh my God, solar is expensive. Oh my God, this is expensive, that is expensive. So this is, I think, the guideline for doing everything. Now people can use AMG and make their own list. That in my life, in my geographical situation or climatic condition, this is avoidable, this is minimizable, this is what I'm going to generate locally. And some things are not possible. Like you can't create a cancer solution locally, for example. It's okay. So then we use the whole ecosystem in a best possible way. We become sensible, not go to the extreme. If you want to globalize, let's globalize everything. If I want to localize, let's localize everything. No, the best solution is making a balance out of it.
Got it.
That is where I think humans, we are the animals who loves to go in extremes. If you want to drive car and make a speed, you keep increasing speed, 50 kilometers, 60, 70, 80, 200, 300. You don't want to stop.
You just keep pushing the limits.
So where to stop? How much to grow? How long to grow? These are the very important question nobody knows. Even if I ask Modi ji, Modi ji, tell me how much GDP should increase? 5% or 7 or 9 or 10 or 15 or 20? I don't think he will answer. Only thing we can say is more the better. So we do not know how much to grow. Acha, how long GDP should grow so that we are all comfortable? Another 10 years or another 20 years, another 50 years? Nobody knows. Longer the better. So the problem is not knowing how much to grow and how long to grow is like driving a vehicle without any brake. And if anybody drives a vehicle without any brake, what will happen? Accident.
Yeah.
And same thing is happening to all humans. We already met an accident or soon going to meet an accident. And that's what climate change is the biggest accident we can think of in a human life, which is going to be so disastrous and so catastrophic that it has a potential to wipe out the humanity itself from the planet.
So we have addressed what individuals can do on their own, AMG. What can governments do? Because the nation as a whole is a giant entity. It needs a significant amount of power every day, every hour. And right now, most of it is carbon-based, whether it's coal or something similar. What other sources of energy can we use on a macro scale? For example, one example is nuclear, one is wind, one is solar. We have the International Solar Alliance. What can nations do as a whole?
Yeah. First of all, again, let me bring your attention that the nation needs not energy but materials, right? So energy also materials, right?
Resources.
I mean, everything. Yeah. So resources in general.
Yeah.
Not only about, because a lot of people do not think that this table has taken energy and therefore I need to minimize this table use also. So that is also energy, and the clothes are also energy. So everybody has to keep that in mind. So
energy is the root of everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yes.
So now what nations can do? Well, one of the most powerful thing that can happen in today's world is what is called energy independence. India, unfortunately, is a energy poor country.
41% is what we produce, and about 60% comes from outside, roughly.
Much more.
Much more?
So different. So crude oil, 85% comes from outside.
Okay. Balance is about 40-60.
Natural gas, 40, 50, 60%. Coal, 20-30%, something. So we spend 16 lakh crore rupees every single year for importing energy.
Energy imports.
Every single year.
Yeah.
So, and you know how geopolitical situations are becoming more stressful.
Yeah.
How had it not been Russia giving us a cheaper oil, our vegetable prices would have been higher.
Yeah.
So energy dependency is a big problem, and no country can be powerful by becoming dependent on some other country.
Absolutely.
So one of the best thing government should do and make a plan from today onward is move towards energy independence. Now, in a business as usual scenario, moving towards energy independence is going to be very difficult because look at how much more we take it from outside.
Yeah.
So therefore, this idea of Energy Swaraj, the foundation, energy independence, that let us start becoming energy independent locally. Who should become energy independent? Let every individual start becoming energy independent. Well, in the city like Mumbai or Delhi, it may not be possible. You don't have space. But B tier cities, C tier cities, even towns, it is very much possible that they become energy independent. The moment one household become energy independent and say, I don't need electricity from the government, I will generate my own electricity. Now that load is not there on the government. The moment communities start producing their own energy and start producing and start manufacturing their own thing, that burden is not there on the government.
Yes.
And which means that burden is not there on importing energy, which means that burden is not there on spending foreign exchange. Imagine, how much our neighboring countries have suffered, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, because of the lack of foreign exchange.
Yes.
So it's a strength.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways that everybody starts contributing to this. What government can do is create a conducive policy.
Okay.
Which helps them to do that.
How so?
For example, right now very recently this the Prime Minister, that Solar Ghar scheme is launched, where 1 crore household will get 300 units of electricity free.
Okay.
What I would suggest is, what I have written also a post and addressing to the Honorable Finance Minister, that in the same amount of money, the government is going to spend about 78,000 crore. In the same amount of money, let us do 4 things. What you do is follow this AMG. You tell anybody that, listen, if your household is consuming less than 100 units of electricity, I am going to give you 500 rupees from my side.
Incentive.
Government gives you not electricity. You don't have to pay electricity. Government gives you money. For what? Not misusing and overusing energy.
Okay.
Isn't it a great idea? What it will promote? It will promote efficiency. It will promote sensible use of energy. And somebody say, no, there's no way I can live in 100 units. I will use 200 units. The government say, okay, use 200 units, but I'll give you only 300 rupees. Or somebody say, I want to use 300 rupees. Okay, use 300, but I'll give you 100 rupees.
Okay.
And somebody, I want 500. Okay, you pay 20 rupees per unit.
Okay.
So now, overall, you incentivize the sensible use of energy. Now, that can be driven by policy. Unfortunately, Abhijit, you'll see, and I see, and I really cry everywhere. Doesn't matter whether you're going to government office or a private office or a household, everywhere the misuse of energy is so enormous.
I think there's no literacy.
Literacy.
People don't know about this.
People don't know about it.
Yeah.
And that's what government can do. One of the most powerful tools that India can give to the whole world is energy literacy. But India has to do it first. Can our country, and my thumb rule calculation tells me that for the next 10 years, India does not need a new power plant. Why? Because by avoiding and minimizing, we can actually save so much. The potential is one third, as I told you. If you start doing it and make it as a matter of pride, that anybody who consumes more energy is not a great person, because that person is emitting more carbon dioxide, which is going to the atmosphere. Your children and my children are going to pay for it. Anybody who wears iron clothes would be a less good person, in my definition. Why? Because he's consuming more energy, which everybody is going to pay for it. So let us create a fashion of less energy consumption, and government can play a wonderful role of kind of a gesture. Government, for example, hires Amitabh Bachchan, and Amitabh Bachchan starts talking about it, starts living it, not just talking about it. Start living it. And we started this program called Wrinkle Achhe Hain.
Okay.
WAH, Wah, Wrinkle Achhe Hain. Okay. And what we are asking people, on Monday, wear non-iron clothes. Because we need to trick our mind. Our mind has been spoiled for last 30 years of consuming more and producing more. How do I train my mind to do other way? And one of the ways, start doing small thing which is doable. So by not wearing iron clothes, nothing happens to me. My economy is not getting affected. My handsomeness is not getting affected. And I'm actually I'm proud that I'm not emitting carbon dioxide because of ironing my clothes. Now, can we not make it as a fashion?
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
So every Monday, today, every Monday, almost 5.5 lakh people are joining our campaign. Every Monday.
Okay.
And our job is to reach out to 1 crore. Okay. And through your podcast, I would like to appeal to Prime Minister Modi, if he wears one day a non-iron clothes, and appeal to the whole country, and then slowly to the whole world. So India can become the role model for the whole world of how do I live sustainably, because India has been living like that. Reusing thing has been part of my culture. It is part in my blood. Worshipping the rivers, worshipping the trees, and worshipping even the non-living things also is part of my culture. It's only India whose philosophy is so evolved that we have been respecting everything around us.
Yes.
And I think that is where I believe, and when I traveled across the world, I could feel it is only India that can lead the world and get the world out of this problem of climate change. And government can actually be the lead. So unfortunately, all government focus on only growth. But growth without smile, growth without pure air, growth without good relationship between people, there's no meaning. It's all the suicide tendencies are increasing. So that has no meaning. There has to be this table when we are using, it has 4 legs. If only one legs become bigger, the table is going to fall down.
Yes.
In human life also, I believe that it's only the economic growth that is being focused, which is good. We should do that. But together with economic growth, there has to be spiritual growth. There has to be moral growth. There has to be academic growth. And then the balance in life will become the more beautiful life, more celebrated, and a more joyful life. Not that we are going to get into more violence and more pollution and more climate change. So this imbalance is a problem. And government, I believe, can start showing the independence. For example, all our schools, can it be connection free? And answer is why not? I developed a school in Madhya Pradesh called Khargone district. The school has no electricity connection for last 14 years.
Okay.
It's run on solar 100%.
Okay, completely unconnected to the grid.
Completely unconnected to the grid.
Okay.
And good thing about all schools is they run in the daytime. and the typical time will be 10 to 4
Okay.
when the sunlight is there.
Mm-hmm.
So when I start disconnecting all the school and run the whole school on solar energy, I'm disconnecting from the grid. I'm not putting this burden on my grid and therefore on the government. And what government can do? Opposite way, incentivize it. Anybody who consumes less energy, let's incentivize that person. That is how, without affecting economic growth, we can be more, balance growth, where avoid and minimize become the prominent thing and become a matter of pride.
Now, when it comes to generating electricity, we can use solar. What about storing electricity? We will need batteries for that, right?
Of course.
So, are batteries also a problem? Lithium-ion batteries
Any manufacturing is a problem. When you manufacture your toothbrush, that's also a problem.
So, a lithium-ion battery, maybe it has a life cycle of maybe 10 years. I'm just guessing.
Correct.
After that, it has to be disposed of.
Correct.
That will contribute to pollution, won't it?
Yes, but that's where people go wrong. So if I don't use, I need to store energy for the night application, right? When sunlight is not there, and therefore I need to produce lithium, make lithium batteries, recycle. It has its own environmental impact.
Massive impact.
But if I don't do that, what are you going to do? What is the alternative of not using battery? For 10 years, you are going to burn coal in the night.
Yeah.
And what is the cumulative emission of that coal?
It's much worse than...
It's much worse than...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the simple philosophy is following. Anything that is used once is a disaster. Anything that is used multiple times is always, desirable.
Desirable.
So coal is burnt once and done. So therefore, disaster. But if my battery, even if last, not 10 years, 5 years, I'm still better off, because once in a 5 year, I need to reproduce it. But coal, I need to burn it every single day.
What about exploring something like a sodium-ion battery? Sodium is much more easily available.
Yeah, of course. What I'm saying is continuous development in technology should happen. And sodium-ion battery is one such example. Hydro storage, so you can pump water in the dam and then let the water flow down during the night. It's another beautiful way of storing, So there are ways of storing in fact, the whole world is focusing a lot on the developing technology based for the storing electricity. But this argument is always valid that even if that sodium ion is not there, even if I have to use lithium or even lead acid battery, I still much better off than burning coal every single day.
Much superior solution.
Because it's simple, right? Anything that is used once is a disaster. One single use water bottle of plastic is a disaster. Single use napkin is a disaster. Anything
which is disposable. One use once and throw.
Yeah, because we don't realize that, for example, for the water bottle, we ran a campaign called #PaapKaPani.
Okay.
Now let us look at the value chain of this water bottle. How does the water bottle comes in your hand? First of all, it needs the plastic ingredient.
Yes.
Which comes from the refineries.
Yes.
For which crude oil comes from? Oil wells.
Yes, oil
which
wells.
comes from 5,000 kilometers away. So it has to travel 5,000 kilometers. First of all, it has to be taken, extracted. Then it has to be piped to the refinery. Then it has to be refined. Then you get plastic bits. That bits will go to another manufacturing plant where plastic will be molded. Now you get a bottle. Now that bottle will go to another plant where water will be filled. Now that put together in a truck will go to another destination. And all this is energy. And then somebody is going to keep it in the refrigerator. That's energy. And then 200 ml bottle comes in your hand. You take 10 seconds to drink.
And then you throw.
Yeah. After throwing, it is going to be 85% of plastic is not recycled. It doesn't get recycled, which means 85% chance it will become a garbage somewhere, and then it will degrade over a 200, 300, 400 years period. And what will become? It will become microplastics.
Microplastics, we are already facing that problem.
So look at the disaster. Just for 10 seconds of drinking water, what are you doing? Isn't it a paap? Isn't it a sin? Some kind of that we all do when we use single-use plastic water.
So what would you recommend as the alternative to plastic bottles of water?
Metal bottles.
Metal bottles.
Yeah, of course. See, humans, because of their lack of literacy and lack of knowledge of life as a whole, we are getting into the small pleasures of life.
Okay.
10 seconds ka water. Water bottle carry, you have all this thing. Or if you don't not carrying, look at here and there, you'll definitely find water. But because you want to be that small comfort, you do not understand the discomfort that you're causing to yourself and your future generation.
Yeah.
It's a lack of foresightedness and stupidity of humans that we are creating an ecosystem which is creating problem for myself. Who is going to bear this microplastic? Your children and my children.
Yeah, it goes to your blood, it goes everywhere.
Goes to blood everywhere.
Yeah.
So what a stupidity.
Yes.
That we all do it. And that's why anything that is single use, the first thing is please stop that. Anything that is single use, please reuse. And anything that is used many times, you go to that. And that's why I'm saying when it comes to solar energy, use batteries. Yes, it is bad. But it is not as bad as burning coal every single day to fulfill your need.
So now that you are on this campaign, this traveling across India, what's the future like next few years?
Well, I mean, so I have divided my campaign into 4 stages.
Okay.
The first 3 years I called it as an exploration phase.
All right.
So I myself explored the whole country. What is the problem? Where is the problem? Why people think in a certain way? What government can do and cannot do? What industry can do and cannot do? So we explored, and based on that exploration, we have devised these tools now: energy literacy, wrinkle अच्छे हैं, climate correction day, reduce electricity campaign, ek kamra solar ka. These are our tools, which everybody can take part. Now, the next 3 years, 2024 to 27, we want to accelerate the action.
Okay.
Because climate change is accelerating.
Yes.
So the business as usual way is not working. We need to do 1,000 times more. And I wish that we can start some kind of a public movement.
Okay.
Where everybody starts feeling that less energy consumption is a better thing. And everybody start feeling and taking pride in, I don't use refrigerator at my home. I'm living without it, and therefore I'm not contributing to the carbon emission. And therefore I'm living behind a better planet for my children. That should be the matter of pride. That should be the inbuilt desire of every parent to live behind a livable planet. And for livable planet, you don't need all this wealth. You need to just live behind a clean water, a clean air and clean soil. That's it. And I keep asking every parent, can you please do this for at least this for your children? Live behind a situation where this poor fellow can live. Otherwise, he's going to struggle. And we have seen some kind of advertisement, right? Where the mother is sending the son to the school, and then son is asking, mother, please recharge my oxygen cylinder. And mother is shouting, how much money I can spend? I just recharged your oxygen cylinder last week. That is the situation that you're talking. So every parent, for the God's sake, live behind a livable planet. So this will not happen, by the way, Abhijit, for the policies. No policies will help you to do that. No subsidy program, no technology will help you to do. Only it has to be an emotional connect. And that every parent, I hope every parent is emotionally connected to their child, that you want better for your future, a better future, at least for do that.
Yes.
When every parent, take that it is matter of life, it is a matter of sustainability, it is matter that my child is not going to suffer. That's why I want to use solar.
Yeah.
Not because it is cheap. That's why I want to consume less, because I want to leave behind a good planet for my children. And when that starts happening and that becomes, a desire in everybody, every human being, then I believe it will become a movement. And without becoming a movement, I don't think policies and projects and subsidies will solve this problem. And that's why I'm doing my Yatra for 11 years. That's why I left my home, because I felt that technologies, Einstein said it beautifully. He said this very same consciousness that has created the problem cannot be used to solve the same problem.
It has to be different.
It has to be different mind frame, the different frame of thinking. It is this frame of thinking that has created the problem. More consumption, more production, more of this, more of that. No, we have to get out of that. Then and then only. So in the next 3 years, I hope energy independence or energy Swaraj becomes the the desire in everybody's heart that I want to become energy independent. I want to become independent in the clothes, the way I get my clothes, the way I get my food, the way I get my water, the way I get my electricity. Of course, everything is not possible, but let that be a desire in everybody. And I'm sure humans are smart enough to innovate the solution. And innovation is required there. How not to do things. Where our mind is going right now, how to do this, how to do that. And I keep telling people, if you are really intelligent and wise, let us learn how not to do things. How not to use air conditioning and be comfortable. How not to use daytime light and use natural light and do the job. Isn't it, does that require smartness? Yes. How not to use refrigerator and still preserve the food. That is where the human intelligence and human intellect should be used, because the current way of using our intellect is creating problems. So creating that public movement, accelerating the action, involving all organization, involving government, involving United Nations is what I want to do and achieve in the next 3 years. Accelerate the action.
Okay.
Action for the climate correction.
For climate correction. Right. So you're doing fantastic work. I really appreciate that. Is there a message you want to send out to the viewers?
Avoid, minimize, generate. AMG.
AMG. So what are 3 easy things that we can that anybody can avoid, and maybe they can start with taking one of those 3 things? At least we can start some action.
Yeah. So one of the simplest thing you can do is, first of all, become energy literate.
Okay.
Do this course online. It's a free. It's for everyone. It's for young. It's for old. It is educated now. Everyone.
So the link to the course will be in the description of the video.
Right. So that is the first thing. Then you can, for example, start wearing non-iron clothes. Let's make it as a fashion. And by the way, I have 2 daughters. And as I said, at my home there is no fridge, no geyser, no air conditioner. I have stopped wearing iron clothes. And we have decided that whenever my daughters will get married, in their marriage function, we are going to invite only those guests who come without ironing their clothes.
Okay.
And anybody who comes with iron clothes will say Namaste, Kalana. Now, can we create that as a cool trend, for example? That everybody does that, and it's become matter of pride. So that is what is avoidable.
Okay.
Don't buy extra pair of clothes, and or for example, take a place that next 3 years I'm not going to buy clothes, and I'm sure, and I have not bought clothes last 3 years, and I'm sure everybody can do that because we have so many clothes. Yeah. So let's forget about 3 years. Do it for 2 years. Do it for 1 year. Don't buy things. What else people can avoid is every time when you're going to buy something, wait for 5 seconds or 10 seconds and think, is it avoidable? Because buying means material, means energy, means pollution, means everything else. So can we avoid buying things? That is, I think, one thing people can do, and choose, make your own choices.
Yeah.
You decide your own list. That is what you can do. Third thing, what people can do is, can we not reduce electricity bills by 10% or 20%? And it's very simple, just to be mindful of what is happening in your house, whether your TV is switched off or not, or completely from the switch. If are you wasting the light if it is not required? Can you run the fan rather than 5 at 4 or 3? Can you not keep the temperature of AC to 25 degree or 24 degree? Can you not keep the temperature of your fridge to higher? This small thing. Reduce electricity bill by 10%.
10%.
Now, let's do the maths, simple math. India has 25 crore household approximately.
Okay.
25 crore household. On an average, we are consuming about, let's say, 100 units of electricity. 200 units. 100 is too low. 200 units.
Okay.
In 200 units, you are going to save 10%. Means 20 units.
20 units per household.
Per household. Now, 20 units into 25 crore. Is
500 crores.
500 crore. Okay.
Yes.
Now, in India, 74% electricity comes from coal. 74%. And when we generate electricity from coal and supply, approximately it results in about 1 kilogram of CO2 emission.
Okay.
So 500 crore units is equal to 500 crore kilogram of carbon dioxide saving every single month. Every single month. Look at the power that it can generate, and that is where that will become such a success story, and Prime Minister and everybody can go to United Nations and tell them, look guys, do this. It's the lowest hanging fruit. Everybody wants to solve the problem of climate change by electric vehicle, green hydrogen, solar energy, this, that. Well, the lowest hanging fruit is don't do something and avoid wastage, and which has no meaning. Neither it helps you economically, doesn't help anybody, doesn't help environment, and therefore let's do that. And these are the things that people can do: reduce electricity bill, avoid buying, avoid ironing clothes. I think that will be wonderful.
I would add one more, like you suggested, stop using plastic bottles, use a metal bottle. I think that's something everybody can do.
Everybody can do.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's why I'm saying using plastic bottle is nothing less than a paap. And in India that works well. So let's make it, anybody who you see holding a plastic bottle, think of him or her as a papi, a sinner, which your child is also going to suffer, by the way. And that's why you have duty to do that.
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't matter it does matter to everybody.
It does.
When somebody else use it. So it does matter to everybody. So let's create that if you are touching a plastic bottle, you are nothing less than a papi. And that's why I'm not going to be friend with you. I'm not going to, have a relationship with you. And that can create a new cool trend, And that's what minimalism and all is all about this. But once you do energy literacy training, you will understand, and you don't have to force yourself. It will be natural. Gandhiji, I keep quoting, he said, somebody asked him, Bapu, why people do wrong things? And he said, because people don't understand the outcome. They don't have the idea of outcome. But if they have the idea, they don't do things. For example, he has given example of a cobra, king cobra. If it bites, you are going to die, right? And therefore, if cobra comes in this hall, what will happen? We are all going to run. We are not going to play with cobra. Let's see whether it is going to bite or not. So similarly, the moment you understand all this consumption of energy and material, what it does to you and your environment, once you understand this, you will automatically start reducing your consumption. You will become energy literate. You will become a sensible person, and then therefore, in a right way, you become sustainable. Right now, people are misusing term sustainability like anything. They don't design a glass building and say, I'm sustainable.
Everything is sustainable.
And they put something green, I'm sustainable. They put solar and no, it is not.
It's not.
It's not. Sustainable is not consuming. The first rule of sustainability, equation of sustainability is left-hand side has to be right-hand side. That is the rule of sustainability. When that is not the case, you're not sustainable. No way. And all those people who claim to be sustainable today, 99% is false.
Right.
They don't understand the fundamentals.
So literacy is the most important thing.
Is the most important thing, and I think we can lead the world.
Absolutely.
It's already in our blood. If somebody in government, if everybody starts pushing little bit energy literacy, it will create a ecosystem which will be more self-sustained, more empowered, less dependent, less contributing to carbon emission, locally self-sustainable, and therefore more powerful.
And I would like to remind the audience that India in the past used to contribute 33% of the world's GDP without destroying the environment.
Exactly. So
it's part of our culture.
It's part of our culture. And therefore, that I'm repeating again, it's only India who can be the world leader. In the true sense, provided we go back to our basics. We go back to our roots.
Yes.
And that is where, we will become spiritually advanced, we'll morally advanced, we'll be healthy, happy, smiling, and beating the world with our knowledge and wisdom and our practices.
Yeah. Dr. Solanki, thank you so much for the wonderful work you're doing. I wish you great success.
Thank you so much.
And let's reconnect in the future and have another session.
Yeah. And I hope through you and with all your audience, people will become the active participant of the program of the energy literacy and climate correction. They are not going to write on WhatsApp and social media that I'm doing this and no. Actually, putting a post itself is some grams of carbon emission.
Yes.
So actually, I hope people will do and do let me know when people are becoming energy literate and making it as a movement. So let's join hands to make it as a public movement. Action for the climate correction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So that was the conversation. Hope you liked it. If you enjoyed this, please share this on WhatsApp and other media. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon.